The sun was barely up on a crisp October morning in 2024 when the doorbell of our cozy Maplewood Lane home in Asheville, North Carolina, rang with an urgency that jolted me from my coffee and laptop. I was wrestling with a tricky line of code for a client's online store when I glanced out the window. There stood Evelyn Carter, our neighborhood's self-proclaimed HOA queen, clutching a sleek folder like it held the keys to world domination. Her sharp bob and tailored blazer screamed authority, but the glint in her eyes hinted at something more sinister. My wife, Eleanor, answered the door, her calm demeanor barely masking the steel in her gaze. I knew that look it meant trouble was brewing, and Evelyn was about to walk into a storm she didn't see coming. Evelyn didn't bother with small talk. She launched into a polished spiel about community progress, thrusting a stack of papers at Eleanor. Mrs. Bennett, the HOA has decided your Creekside property is holding back Asheville's potential. We're offering a fair price for you to sell immediately. Her tone dripped with condescension, honed from years of bullying neighbors into submission. Eleanor barely glanced at the documents before responding, her voice smooth but edged with ice. Thank you, Ms. Carter, but our land isn't for sale. This is our home, and we're staying. I looked up from my screen, sensing the undercurrent in her words. After 10 years of marriage, I knew Eleanor's diplomatic tone meant she was already 3 steps ahead. Evelyn's polite mask cracked. She waved the papers like a sword, her voice rising. This isn't optional, Mrs. Bennett. The HOA has the right to claim this land for community development. I've got investors ready to build $4 million condos, and your refusal is costing everyone. Her audacity was breathtaking, but Eleanor's reaction was what caught my attention. Instead of anger, she seemed almost amused, studying Evelyn like a scientist examining a rare bug. A faint smile tugged at her lips, the kind that made me wonder what she knew that I didn't. Evelyn, oblivious, pressed on. You have 48 hours to sign, or I'll call the sheriff to investigate your illegal hold on this land. Our 9-year-old son, Liam, burst through the door just then, shouting, Mom, are you catching bad guys again? The words hung in the air like a lit fuse. Evelyn's eyes narrowed, sensing leverage, while Eleanor's posture shifted, protective and sharp. I felt a chill. There was more to my wife's late-night calls and vague, consulting trips than I'd ever questioned. Evelyn stormed off, her heels clicking with purpose, but I couldn't shake the feeling she'd just declared war on the wrong family. The next morning, sheriff's cars rolled into our driveway, sirens cutting through the quiet. Evelyn trailed behind, clutching another folder, her face a mix of triumph and venom. She launched into a theatrical sob story for Deputy Reynolds, claiming we were squatting on HOA land and had threatened her. Eleanor emerged, a stack of documents in hand, moving with a confidence that made the deputy pause. Good morning, Deputy. I assume Ms. Carter's filed a complaint. Here's our deed, surveys, and tax records going back 12 years. Reynolds skimmed the papers, his expression shifting from neutral to respectful, as if he recognized something or someone. He glanced at Eleanor, and I caught the word clearance in his hushed exchange with his partner. Evelyn's smugness faltered as Reynolds declared our ownership airtight. Ms. Carter, you'll need to take this up in civil court, he said, handing back her folder with a look that screamed skepticism. By noon, Evelyn had pivoted to social media, flooding the Asheville neighbors group with posts painting us as land-grabbing villains. Her photos, doctored to suggest we'd encroached on HOA property, sparked a firestorm of comments from neighbors who'd never checked a survey map. But I wasn't about to let her narrative win. Years of coding had taught me how to dig for truth, so I compiled a timeline of Evelyn's HOA public records showing complaints, shady property deals, and families pressured into selling cheap. The Parkers had fled town after legal threats. The Wilsons sold their lot for pennies. An elderly couple vanished after their home was snapped up by a mysterious LLC linked to Evelyn. I posted it all online, and the group exploded, neighbors turning on her like a pack of wolves smelling blood. Evelyn's special surprise arrived the next day, a certified letter dripping with official seals, claiming eminent domain and demanding we vacate within 72 hours. The attached offer was half our property's value. It was a masterclass in intimidation, but Eleanor didn't flinch. She spread the papers across our kitchen table, snapping photos with clinical precision. "These are good," she murmured, almost impressed. "Authentic templates, forged signatures. This is no amateur scam." Her expertise was unnerving, but before I could press, Liam ran in, tears streaming. Evelyn had cornered him at the bus stop, telling him his parents were criminals headed for jail, and he'd end up in foster care. My blood boiled, but Eleanor's reaction was chilling. Her calm shattered, replaced by a fury that made the room feel smaller. "She threatened our son," she whispered, her voice ablaze. "She's about to learn who she's dealing with." In her study, surrounded by encrypted tech and law enforcement manuals I'd never noticed, Eleanor finally opened up. "I haven't been fully honest, Jack. I'm with the FBI, Internal Affairs, investigating corruption. Evelyn's been on our radar for months. Her HOA scams are part of a bigger real estate fraud network. Your research helped us connect the dots." My jaw dropped. My wife wasn't just a consultant. She was a federal agent, and Evelyn had picked the worst possible target. We didn't arrest her right away because we needed her to expose her network corrupt planners, fake LLCs, money laundering. She just handed us the final pieces. The next morning, Evelyn escalated, staging a fake survey crew outside our house, complete with eviction notices. She strutted like a general, unaware Eleanor was coordinating with FBI colleagues. I posted our evidence online, exposing her forgeries, and the neighborhood turned. By afternoon, the surveyors vanished undercover agents, it turned out, recording Evelyn's every move. At 3 p.m., Eleanor's phone rang, and her smile was pure predator. "It's time," she said. FBI vehicles swarmed our street, agents in tactical gear surrounding Evelyn as her face cycled from confusion to terror. She'd been outplayed, her every call and fake document logged as evidence. That night, at an emergency HOA meeting Evelyn had planned as her victory lap, the tables turned. Victims of her scams, the Parkers, Wilsons, and others filled the room, armed with my evidence. Eleanor stood, flashing her badge. "I'm Special Agent Eleanor Bennett, FBI Internal Affairs. This meeting is now under federal jurisdiction." Evelyn's briefcase hit the floor as agents moved in, cuffs ready. "You're under arrest for mail fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, and RICO violations," Eleanor said, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. Evidence poured out, recordings of Evelyn's threats, financial trails of her $20 million scheme, names of corrupt officials now in custody. Evelyn's final defiance, "My connections go higher than you," crumbled when Eleanor revealed her higher-ups were already arrested. Evelyn's empire collapsed in real time, her victims reclaiming their lives as she faced 25 years in federal prison. The FBI uncovered a $60 million fraud network, with Eleanor's investigation and my digital sleuthing at its core. Our neighborhood healed, new HOA rules ensuring transparency, and Liam beamed with pride, telling friends his mom was a bad guy catcher. Eleanor's promotion to deputy director and my new FBI consulting gig cemented our partnership. No more secrets between us. But here's where it gets messy. Was Evelyn just a greedy bully, or a symptom of a broken system that lets HOAs wield unchecked power? Should neighbors have questioned her sooner, or were they victims of her charm? And what about the officials who enabled her? Should they face harsher penalties than Evelyn herself? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if justice tasted sweet, and subscribe for more stories where the little guy fights back. Have you faced an HOA tyrant or a corrupt official? Tell us your story. Let's keep the conversation going.